guys, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. My name is Lucy and today we are going to talk about traps that are set by the cruise line that passengers just keep falling into. Now, having worked on cruise lines for just under 10 years, I have seen every trick in the book. I've seen how they get you to spend money when you're on board, how they get you to book excursions, how they entice you to go to certain venues at certain times so everyone's spread out. It's actually very, very clever. I'm going to tell you some of the tricks that are laid out by the cruise line so that you can either play into them or avoid them when you go on your next cruise. For those of you who have been on a cruise vacation, I'm sure you will agree with me that it is an amazing way to vacation, but it is definitely not the cheapest option. Most people will spend at least 50% of the amount that they spent on the initial cruise, which is quite a scary percentage if you think about it, because when you add up the gratuities that you have to pay, maybe some cruise taxes, and then maybe you want to shop on board, maybe you want to go to a specialty restaurant, and as I said in my last video, every cruise ship is trying to outdo the others. So all of these cruise ships have amenities that you've probably never discovered or tried before, and usually they cost extra. So a lot of first-time cruisers are surprised at how much extra a cruise can be on top of the initial fare. So one thing they try and do to get you to spend more money actually happens before you even step foot on board. So when you are booking your cruise, they will basically ask if you want to pay a little bit extra and have their all-inclusive package. So they'll say, you know, if you pay $300-400 extra, this includes Wi-Fi, it includes a drinks package, it might include an upgrade or a potential upgrade. Sometimes it can include a dining experience at a specialty restaurant. And when they tell you what these things would cost individually or if you purchase them on board, it seems like a no-brainer to pay the extra now so you can have a better experience when you are on board. I have done this, many people have done this, but what they have found is actually maybe they purchased the drinks package but they were never going to get through 10 drinks per day. So actually they didn't need to purchase a drinks package that expensive. Or they paid the extra so they could be considered for an upgrade, but maybe they were offered an upgrade, but the room was at the very front of the ship and the sea was going to be rocky, so they didn't end up going for the upgrade because the position of the new cabin wasn't as good as the one they originally booked. And the Wi-Fi is never great. So you always feel a little bit cheated when you pay extra for Wi-Fi, and you know, like if you've been on a ship, the Wi-Fi is never any good. I have never ever been on a cruise ship where I can hands down say this Wi-Fi was great and it was worth the money. It never is. So my advice is vacate the Wi-Fi, vacate the internet, take this opportunity to completely be phone free. We're not scrolling Instagram, we're not doing any of that while we're on the cruise. We're going to take a break because it's not worth the money. So I'm actually going on Cunard Queen Victoria in a few days. I'm very, very excited. But when I booked this cruise, the lovely lady that I was talking to offered me Cunard's premium package, which included a drinks package, gratuities and the Wi-Fi. So knowing what I know, I absolutely turned it down and I just said I will pay the gratuities when I'm there. I will purchase a drinks package if I feel I need to, but honestly I'll probably just purchase the drinks when I want them, because realistically I'm only going to have like maybe a coffee and 2 glasses of wine, and there is no drinks package just for that. Every drinks package I've always witnessed, you have to drink like a minimum of 8 drinks to make it worth it. So I paid the minimum fare for this cruise, and I will talk way more on that in the videos in the coming days. It's just a trick to get me to spend more money than I need to. So I'm not saying not to do this. If you work it out and you would drink 8 to 10 drinks a day and you think the drinks package would be worth getting, get it. But it is something that you need to really consider. This shouldn't be an off-the-cuff decision when you're booking your cruise, because although they will tell you this will save you money, it won't always save you money. So don't just say yes when they offer you the premium package. The second thing is bidding for upgrades. So again, this trick happens before you have even got on board. When you book your cruise, you will most likely be asked if you would like to have the option to bid for an upgrade on your cabin. I have met many people who have done this option. They have bid for their upgrade. They've been very happy until they've got on board and realised that they actually paid more for the upgrade than if they'd have just booked that grade cabin in the first place. So it's really easy to get caught up in the bidding process. It's exciting, and you know, you think you're going to win. If you do win, it's still exciting, but it obviously can be a bit disheartening when you realise that you've paid like $100 more than you would have if you'd have just booked that in the first place. So if you are going to bid for an upgrade on a certain cabin, have a little research on how much that cabin would be to book without bidding, just so you know where the line is, where to draw the line, so you don't bid hundreds of dollars over what the actual cabin is worth. So now moving on to some things that happen when you are on board, and the first one I'm going to mention, or the third thing, is excursions. As I mentioned, cruise lines make so much money off you when you are on board that they really do push excursions, because they don't want you to spend your money with an external excursion company or just going and exploring on your own. They want you to spend money and do an excursion. So the cruise line, again, is reaping the rewards. So they will tell you stuff like, oh, it's a little bit dangerous, you might not come back to the ship on time, it's safer to do it with an excursion. Now this is true. I made a video on excursions, so if you want to know when the right time is to take an excursion, make sure you go and check that video out. I will link it below. These excursions can be quite pricey, but of course you're willing to pay it because you're like, well, if this is the only safe way to explore the port that we're in, of course safety comes first. But there are only a few instances when I believe going on an excursion is worth the premium price that you pay. And as I said, I have gone through that in the other video. So again, do your research. Find out if the port you are going to is a dangerous place, or what the all on board time is, how long it's going to take you to get to and from the destination that you want to see. Because half the time it is safe and you will be completely fine exploring and visiting this destination or monument on your own. You don't always need to do an excursion, but of course the cruise lines want to get as much money out of you as they possibly can, so they're going to push this. And also, I read all of your comments on my dodgy light switch. I promise I'll get it fixed. As you've noticed, I've turned the camera today just so it's not in the picture. It's one of those jobs that will take 2 seconds, but you put it off and put it off and put it off. We all have things like that, don't we? Well, I hope we do. In our house that would take 2 minutes to do, but it takes us like a month to get around to it. Change of itineraries. When you are booking your cruise, you have to sign a contract. And in the small print of that contract, it basically says that the cruise line reserve the right to change itineraries at will. Now, usually when you're on board, if there is a change to your itinerary, there's a good reason for it. Maybe the weather's bad, they can't dock, the port has been deemed dangerous when, the pandemic was just started. A lot of ports that cruise ships were scheduled to go to was like, no, you can't come here because obviously pandemic. But a lot of people don't know this, that the cruise line reserved the right to change the itinerary. So again, it happened a lot where I've been working on a cruise ship, people are really excited for a specific port, and then the captain announces that we're not going to be able to go for various reasons, and people are really disappointed because that's the one port that they were really looking forward to. And they go on about how they're going to try and get compensation and get reimbursed. Now, actually, usually cruise lines are quite good at giving you things to make up for your experience, because of course they want to keep you coming back for cruises. But you're not entitled to any compensation if they change the itinerary, because you signed a contract. Just because you didn't read the small print doesn't mean you didn't sign it and say that it was okay for the cruise line to change the itinerary. But the reason I feel like this is a trick is because they don't spell it out for you. Like, no one on the phone is saying they can change the itinerary. It's in the small print that a lot of people do not read. A lot of the shops on board are going to give out free things. So you might get a free charm if you've cruised before. I'm sure you have heard of the free charm. That was actually part of my job as a shopping ambassador. We would give out the free charm. And various other stores, they might give out a bracelet, they might give out a magnet. They'll give out something free. Now, this is not just because they're super kind and they would just want to give you free stuff. This is because they want traffic in their store, and hopefully they want you to buy something, because if they give out 100 free stores and one person purchases something, it makes giving out a bunch of free stuff worth it, especially if it's the jewellery store and that one person purchases something for $10,000, which happens. Now this isn't a bad thing because you don't have to buy anything. And the same with these informative seminars. Like when I worked on Virgin, I worked in the MAC shop, I would do a makeup seminar. So women would come and I would do a makeup demonstration and teach women how to do a smoky eye, or how to do a winged eyeliner or a lip liner, or how to put the right foundation, or how to put foundation on correctly. But the idea was that you would buy something because you see me demonstrating with this makeup and you're like, huh, I need some makeup. And a lot of the time it worked, people would buy makeup, and there's no harm in it. Like, people were happy because they got information and they got a nice purchase, and who doesn't love a bit of retail therapy? But I just want you to know that the reason that there is something free, or a free informational seminar, especially if it's in a revenue department, so like the art department, the bar department, the shops department, it's because they want you to purchase something. Maybe the bars department are going to teach you how to make cocktails, and then you go and purchase that bottle of rum that they used. If you go to the informational art seminar, maybe you're going to want to buy a piece of art. If you come to the shops, you're probably going to buy something. So there's nothing wrong with it, but just know, like, we're not doing it out of the goodness of our hearts. It's a strategy. Every cruise line has a loyalty program. Royal Caribbean have their Crown and Anchor program. P&O have the Peninsula Club. The idea is it keeps you coming back because, of course, the higher you are on this loyalty scheme and the more perks you get, why would you go on another cruise line where you're not going to get any perks? Whereas if you go back to this cruise line that you know you already enjoy, you're going to get a free lunch, or you're going to get access to this diamond lounge. Or do you see what I mean? It stops cruisers trying new cruise lines. It keeps, and I mean, it's human nature to kind of stick with what you like anyway, because if you go on a new cruise line, there's always a risk that you're going to hate it, and then you're like, oh, we should have just gone back on Princess or Royal because we know that we enjoy them. But especially adding that loyalty program in, it really makes it difficult to tear yourself away from that and go on a cruise line where you don't know if you like it, you're not going to get any perks because you're not even in their loyalty scheme yet, and you're probably going to spend just as much. Now, I'm not discouraging being part of a loyalty scheme. Obviously, it's an amazing thing and you do get some really cool benefits, but it is just something to bear in mind that, again, it's a strategy. And also, you might be in the loyalty scheme and be entitled to certain things and you don't even know about it, because when you're on board, obviously there's hundreds, thousands of passengers. The crew members are not going to come up to you individually and say, oh, by the way, did you know you're entitled to use this lounge? So it is your job to find out what you're entitled to. So every cruise ship pretty much has a loyalty manager, and it is their job to basically know what you're entitled to depending on how many cruises you've done, what tier you're on. So at the beginning of the cruise, when you've got some time, go and see your loyalty manager. If you've been on the ship a few times, there's no point if it's your first time on board, because you're not going to be entitled to much. But if you've been on the ship a few times, or the cruise line a few times, and you know that you're in the loyalty program but you don't really know what you're entitled to, go and see your loyalty manager and they will be able to tell you exactly what you can and can't have, and maybe if you do another cruise you'll go up a level. And so these little tricks aren't bad, but they're just things to be aware of, because the less money we spend per cruise, the more cruises we can afford to go on, right? So we want to have our wits about us when we are spending and booking cruises, and, you know, make sure we're maximising our dollar. But anyway, those are the tips and tricks that I wanted to tell you about today. I promise I will get my light switch fixed, but actually for the next few videos, we won't be in this room, we will be on Cunard Queen Victoria, which is super exciting. So make sure you tune in for that. And also, a few of you have been asking, like, when's Josh coming home? What's next in terms of what ship are you going on next? Josh is coming home 3 days after I get back off the Cunard ship, which is very exciting. So can't wait to see him. I don't know what's going on next. I don't know when we're going on another ship. I don't know what ship we're going on. So yeah, I'm just enjoying being at home and making the most of having time to make footage and go on cruises and live my life. But rest assured, I will keep you updated when I know what's going on with another contract. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you in a few days on Queen Victoria. Bye guys.